Hey everybody, I am Danny Otto. Welcome into another episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the show, just want to issue Tesseract level spoilers. We will be talking about everything from episode 5 of the Loki series. So if you haven't checked out that episode yet, you may want to pause this video, go check out that episode, and then come back here for the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
Joining with me this week, making his That Recap Show debut, it's the one, the only, it's Johnny Rico.
Hey, it's me. What's up, guys? Hey, Danny, what's going on, bud?
How's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. How about you? Let's talk some Loki.
I know, I can't wait. Let's dive right into this. Let's get the recap as fast as possible. I think the central theme from this episode that I can really, if I was going to describe it to anybody, is Wizard of Oz crossed with a Rick and Morty episode where they visit the Citadel of Ricks. Because it's just millions of Lokis, millions of characters in general, kind of just being assholes to each other, except for our main variant Loki. And so other than that, like diving a little bit deeper into that instead of just scratching the surface, it felt a lot like a quest movie to me. Like they had a main objective and you had to defeat an enemy to get to our hidden boss type of thing.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah, it felt a lot like a Lord of the Rings movie, basically. It's
yeah,
like you got to get to that big journey, you got to defeat that big monster, but then you still got that next stage of your journey to get to where you really need to get to, and that's what I kind of felt like. We're about to get to Mordor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And even more like on like a video game level, it felt like a Zelda game where you have to defeat different dungeons and leads up to the main dungeon for it felt like that. I mean, that's the best way we could like quickly kind of recap, because obviously we had a lot of cool cameos, obviously we had a lot of things that happened throughout, but that I think was the core theme of this episode. So do you want to go to big takeaways? So I'm going to kick this off. My first big takeaway, and I think a really big theory that everybody had at the end of last episode, is that pruned people / reset things don't get destroyed. They get transported to one central place. So there were a lot of rumors going on last week, after last week's episode, when Loki actually woke up, he wasn't killed when he was pruned, that maybe they all got sent to like as that type of person. So like Loki got sent to a planet of all Lokis, and Mobius got sent to a planet of all Mobius, and stuff like that. But really we find out that it's one central place, almost like Sakaar, where like it's kind of like the trash heap of the universe type of thing. Like everything that they've ever pruned or reset kind of gets sent to the same central place. And I just think that I mean, obviously it's a big takeaway to me just because everyone is there. So we get to see like all of these Easter eggs are from all of these different timelines that had been pruned. And I just thought, holy shit, the possibilities are endless of what could be here and who we could see in this episode or who we could see in the finale episode. It's awesome to think about and just, theorize about. What was your first big takeaway?
My first big takeaway, Danny, from this episode was that we got to meet a character named Alioth, which was really cool.
You mean Cloud Doggo?
Oh yeah, Cloud Doggo. Cloud Doggo indeed. And it turns out that this character, while really obscure, also has some really major ties to a character that we're going to see in the future of the MCU, Kang the Conqueror, who I think has some pretty big implications for the finale, maybe. So Danny, what was your final takeaway from this episode?
All right, cool. So the last big takeaway from this is no surprise, because we already kind of touched on it during the recap, and it's really that I'm starting to really believe that the core theme of this is really kind of following the Wizard of Oz, because we and look, I'm not alone in this. We've watched a lot of videos that kind of had that theme being emphasized, and I even read some articles about the same thing. So really, we know that there's going to be someone behind the curtain that was kind of controlling the actions of the TVA and the timekeepers and stuff like that. We just don't know exactly who that is yet, but we're going to be getting that next episode. And so really, I mean, it's not a big reveal. It's just kind of what we're having all of our stuff proven at this point. And that is one of them, that there really is somebody pulling the strings. And I'm really excited. The reason it stood out to me is that some of these fan theories are finally starting to take shape, and it's very exciting, not only because they're fan theories, but just because it's been really a fun ride to kind of theorize with other people and hear other people's theories about what could happen, how this could connect, and kind of picking up on the breadcrumbs and going like, this really is starting to seem like this, and it might lead to this, and it could lead to that. So you want to head to predictions?
Let's do it. I'll go first. My first prediction is that I think that with Alioth defeated in the Void, this area that they've been living in with all the other Lokis, I think that once the TVA is finally finished once and for all, and possibly Ravonna and Kang have made their escape, I think that Loki and or Sylvie, so either one or both of them, are going to live on in the Void and kind of create their own kingdom, and thus kind of create their own happiness together with all the other Lokis, basically, who can see if they can kind of cohabitate together. And yeah, that's kind of my big kind of fun prediction for this episode. What about you, Danny? What's your prediction for this episode?
I think either Loki or Sylvie will have to sacrifice themselves so that the other can survive in the main MCU timeline. And like I said, I really like both characters. I like that we've seen Loki is a completely different person. And I think the main catalyst for this entire series is really Sylvie. Like, her everything has kicked off this Loki variant's change and build in character, because the only reason they didn't just prune him upon capturing him is because they needed him to track Sylvie. And so, I mean, it's just been this character building arc for our Loki variant because of Sylvie, and he is now like a completely different person now, and that's like, I love the character arc that he's had. So I would love to have him come back, and like I said last recap episode, I said I'd really like to see him in Doctor Strange 2, helping out like Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch to deal with whatever villain is happening with Multiverse of Madness. I would love that.
As an ally.
Yeah. And same thing with Sylvie, though. I think we have a lot of ties that she could have something to do with the other Avengers and stuff like that moving forward. But I just, in the back of my mind, I'm like, could they do this where like the biggest thing that a Loki could do is sacrifice themselves to save another Loki type of thing? Like, it's a huge character development thing. Like, because I mean, we saw from this episode, a lot of normal Lokis wouldn't do that kind of thing. So, like I said, I'm hoping it doesn't happen because I like both characters, but I could just, if it happened, I could say like, I knew it. But the other is, and I don't know 100% like if this is the craziest prediction or not, because I haven't heard this very often, and I've watched a lot of videos, and I tried to read as much as I could. So I know some people have said this, but I don't know how realistic it is, and that's probably why the bigger outlets aren't really saying this, is what it really seemed like when everybody was getting sent to the Void after being pruned and all of the stuff was getting sent. It immediately reminded me of Sakaar, where like just everything's getting dumped in one place type of thing. And who's the person behind the curtain of Sakaar? The Grand Master. And the only reason I kind of went down this tangent is the fact that Marvel really likes to push us towards it could be this big villain at the end of a series, and then immediately yanking that out at the very end type of thing.
Yeah.
We had it with WandaVision where the entire series were going, it's Mephisto, it's Mephisto, it's Mephisto.
Jackal! Jackal! It's a jackal! It looks like a jackal! 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 It's a jackal! Jackal!
Time!
Mephisto never came. It was Agatha all along for that one. And, and I mean, there were a lot of theories that she had something to do with it, but we always thought, it always came back to, we thought she was working for Mephisto type of thing. So what if it was a red herring? We know we're getting Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man 3. We know he's coming. He's going to be dealt with in the MCU no matter what. So what if all of this was a red herring and it really was the Grand Master? I mean, he could be working with Kang, but what if it really was just the Grand Master being like, this is just another thing from me type of thing? And it would be, I mean, I just think it would be a kind of like a bait and switch on the most epic level ever.
That would be a very Loki thing to do for them to just bait and switch you like that.
Exactly. So like, look, I understand it's crazy, but I just had to throw it out there. I had a thought when I was doing a rewatch of this episode. But anyway, before we get out of here, we wanted to do two things really quick. Give out some awards. The first award goes to Best Cameo in Episode 5. And I think we're both in agreement for best.
Oh, yeah.
It's Frog Thor. I mean,
yes.
It was one of those, like, blink and you miss it things. That's what you said. It was blink and you miss it, but it was perfect. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing.
That quick shot as they're crawling down into like the Loki base, and you see the Mjolnir, and you see Throg, as I guess he's known as, also trying to jump out of a jar that he can't even bust out of. I guess it's covered in, because it's covered in dirt. I don't know why he couldn't get out of that glass jar. But come on,
I know.
Come on,
it
Thor.
Was perfect.
It was amazing.
So that gives our award for best cameo in episode 5
Beautiful.
Is Frog Thor. So the last award we're going to give out before we get out of here is best breakout character. And now we're a little bit split on this one. Do you want to go first? You want to throw out yours?
I'll let you go first, Danny. I want to hear yours first.
All right. Hey.
We'll save the best for last. Sorry. So we'll save the best for last.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. It's funny because I know your answer and ours are kind of connected. So anyway, mine is, and it should be no surprise to anybody because I have already like expressed how cool I think this character is Alligator Loki. I think that character is absolutely incredible.
He's pretty awesome.
Won me over instantly. I just love the fact that he can actually talk and be understood by classic Loki, because I think it just makes that character so much funnier. It's not just like an alligator with a Loki crown. This I mean, it can actually communicate and stuff. And when it bites President Loki's hand off, like it's the perfect character. I love him. I think
he was going after hands all episode.
I know.
It's crazy. He tried to go after boastful Thor's hand. Everyone.
Yeah. Well, if you notice, he only goes after bad guys. Hands, bad Loki hands.
True.
Because boastful Loki ended up being a bad guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, who is your nominee for best breakout character for this episode?
So my nominee for best breakout character from this episode is classic Loki, played by Richard E. Grant. And I thought it was hands down the best performance of the entire episode. The way he was able to conjure up an entire Asgard, from trees to everything to a little bridge. There was no rainbow bridge, but there was like the little bridge to the bridge, just to distract the Alioth in time so that both Lokis can pull off the enchantment, was incredible. I thought it was probably the best scene of the entire series so far, and even the music that ramped up to it was incredible. And it was a hero's death for a Loki. He went out with glorious purpose, as he screamed it as he went out.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. Look, it's a strong nominee. Like I said, I don't know if it'll beat Alligator Loki, but it's a very strong nominee. All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments, who do you think should win for best breakout character from episode 5? Do you think it's Alligator Loki, or do you think it's classic Loki? Both are very strong nominees, but let us know below. And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest video updates. Bye, everybody!